What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV. In this video, we're going to compare the Galaxy Z Flip 3, which is currently about $1,000 if you get the 128GB one, or you can get the Galaxy Z Fold 3, and this one goes for $17.99. Now, with that said, we're going to do a bunch of comparisons. We're going to talk about the specs. We just talked about the price, obviously. We're going to show off multi-window on here because both these being folding devices, doing multitasking is a big thing on here. Performance, displays, speakers, cameras, the size and how they feel in each of your hands, and also the features overall. First, let's talk about specs. So specs on here, you're going to get a Snapdragon 888 with both of these devices. For the Galaxy Z Flip 3, you only get 8GB of RAM. In terms of storage for the Galaxy Z Fold 3, you get 256 or 512GB of storage. Both phones are water resistant, but not dust resistant, so you can put these in 3 feet of water up to 30 minutes. And then, as you can see, this phone folds in half, gets pretty small, but it does have a little bit of thickness, and you can stand it up. You can kind of put it at any angle that you want. Great for, maybe a video chat. You don't want to touch your phone, but you want to kind of angle it up or take a photo or something like that. So very cool that you can completely flip this phone. You might remember this in terms of flip phones from the late 90s or mid 90s, even into the 2000s. This is a very similar design, except it's modern because it's a touchscreen on the middle. And then you also have this screen right here, which you can also touch and interact with as well. And then you have the Galaxy Z Fold 3, which you have this front display, very skinny, long display, and you can use this just like you would any other device on here, from watching videos to doing your social media, writing emails, whatever you want to do, you can do that. Or you can open this completely up, and you have the ability to use this huge, tablet-like experience on this huge display. This is a 7.6-inch display. This has a 6.7-inch display, but when you look at these side by side, even though they're fairly close, within 0.9 inches, you can see that this basically is two Galaxy Z Flip 3s together. So pretty massive phone, but you put a pop socket on either one of these phones or some kind of ring holder, it makes holding these phones a lot easier. So if you have small hands, I would recommend getting a pop socket or a ring holder or something like that to make it a little bit easier to hold these. So both of these have side mounted fingerprint sensors. They both work damn well. It's definitely my favorite fingerprint sensor now. I used to love it on the back, but I definitely prefer it on the side now. So it used to be, on the back was, you get the ones from the Pixel that would be on the back there, like this one. And I still love it, don't get me wrong, but I definitely prefer it on the side now. Works fantastic, volume keys, everything. And this has it on the side as well, and it works just as good. Only problem for me is I feel like it's a little bit high up on the phone versus where it is on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. Maybe I would just have to get used to it, but regardless, they both work really, really well. Both of these phones also can do power wireless sharing and wireless charging on the back of the devices, respectively. So both of these phones are known for multitasking, which is fantastic. I will say that I prefer it on the Galaxy Z Fold 3 better just because it has a bigger display. But you see, I'm gonna load up Instagram and YouTube on here so I can do that. And here's my Instagram. I'm watching a video over here at the same time. So you can really do a lot on here doing that. There you go, I got the video, I got this, and if I wanted to, I could bring another window over. Maybe I want to bring over Twitter. So I'll bring Twitter down here. And look at that. I mean, it's a little bit small, but I'm doing Twitter, I'm watching my video, I'm doing my Instagram. Very, very nice to do that. You can also bring in more windows as well, up to 5 floating windows. So if I wanted to bring over, let's just say, Spotify, I can bring this over to the middle. And now I have a Spotify window as well. I could rock this one down here, pick some music or look through the music I have, and maybe I want to bring another window. Maybe I got to do a little bit of math homework, so I can bring this in. And I got my calculator. I mean, it gets a little bit crowded and stuff, but it is possible to do different things on here at the same time to be able to get things done. And then on the Galaxy Z Flip 3, fairly similar setup. You have your sidebar over here. I'm gonna load up the Google Play Store, and I also have my Twitter. You can make the window bigger or smaller. You can do that over there as well. You can also turn it this way if need be. And you can do that on here too. Let me just get rid of some of these windows because it is a little bit crowded. But let's just see, you can see, there you go. Got my windows all set up where they need to go. And if I want to, I can also bring some floating windows over here. So maybe I want to bring over my Twitter. So I'll bring over Twitter. There you go. So I got a Twitter window. I got my Instagram. I've got a Google Play Store or video playing on there. So, I mean, it does get a little bit more crowded on this smaller screen. So again, for multitasking, I would definitely prefer it on this phone for sure, on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. It just is so much bigger and larger, and it's just a much more enjoyable experience overall. You do have flex mode on both of these. So what that means basically, so for instance, I'll open up my camera over here. So if I just bend it a little bit, I can take photos. For instance, I'll take a photo and it shows up on here. So I instantly see it. I don't have to be like, oh, do I like the way that looks? No, I don't. And I can click off it and go right back to where I was. You can do something very similar on here as well on the Z Flip 3. So I'll just bend it ever so slightly. Kind of have something similar. You see, when I bent that, this little menu pops up. So certain apps will give you certain things. So for instance, on YouTube, and I play a video, if I bend it, you can see it kind of went down, and now I can go down. The video still plays. It almost creates this like double screen effect where I can see comments and things or see other videos and scroll through that. So it does make it a little bit helpful to be able to do something like that, that I can do two things at once basically within the same app without losing my place. And then YouTube on the Galaxy Z Fold 3 again does something very, very similar. So I don't even really have to bend it to do that, but I could as well if I hold it this way. You see. So very, very cool to be able to do multiple things within the same app for both of these phones. But again, I would want it bigger, and I think the Z Fold 3 does it better. Performance on both of these phones is very, very snappy, very, very good. I haven't noticed any huge differences between the two. Obviously, the Z Fold 3 should be better with multitasking, and as you add more apps that you're running at the same time, because it has more RAM, has 12 gigs of RAM versus 8 gigabytes of RAM. But overall, on a day-to-day basis, both of these are very, very snappy. I think you'd be pretty happy with both of them. They also both have 120 hertz displays. The Z Fold 3 has it on the big display and the small display. Obviously with this phone right here, you only get it on the main display because that's just how the phone is designed. But yeah, I think performance, you probably won't see a huge difference between the two. I did notice just on some basic tasks, my Z Flip 3 does tend to get more hot just doing basic stuff versus the Z Fold 3. But other than that, both are very, very good performers overall. Now, just to let you know, I do have Dolby Atmos turned on both of these phones. So in case you're curious, I know it's gonna come up and be like, you didn't do a fair test. I did do a fair test because the Dolby Atmos is turned on both of these phones. I also have it set to the same. It's set to auto on both. And volume, I'll put volume max on both of these as well. So you know that, again, this is an absolute fair test. Here we go. Both of these have stereo speakers as well. We'll play the same song on both and see which ones we like better. So we'll try it on the Z Flip 3 first. So Z Fold 3 definitely comes off a little bit louder on here for sure. Let's try another song on here. We'll try Numb to It. So I would definitely say the Z Fold 3 is louder. I will admit though, it doesn't seem that much louder than the Z Flip 3. I do think The speakers are not as loud or as good on the Z Fold 3 as they are on the Z Fold 2. Z Fold 2 to me seemed louder and better sound overall versus the Z Fold 3. So, keep that in mind. But I think if you need the phone with the best sound, I would say choose the Z Fold 3 versus the Z Flip 3. There's a lot of acronyms and names in here. But yeah, it's not a huge difference, as big as I thought it would be. Next, we're gonna check out a video here, the same one, and play them both at the same time so you can get an indication of what these look like. Completely maxed out. You can see they're both maxed out here, completely filling up the screen on both. You can definitely see it a little bit better on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. It might look a little washed out on this screen, but I can assure you it's not when I watch this. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit, just hopefully that will help with some of the brightness issues on the camera. But I mean, again, it's really a preference thing in terms of, do you want to have a huge display and maybe have a little bit harder to hold, or do you want a smaller display and make it easier to hold, but maybe you can't see it as well? I mean, both of them look great. Again, don't get me wrong, but not a huge difference just in a room environment, which one you can see better. We'll look at these outside in just a moment as well to see if we can see one better than the other. Next up would be cameras. Both of these have front cameras on their main displays. The Galaxy Z Flip 3, you can see it at the very top. You should be able to see it. The Z Fold 3, it's kind of hidden. It's right there. And you can see it in certain lighting situations that it's in. Sometimes it shows up pixelated, sometimes it's completely hidden, but it is their under display camera. They also have a normal one right here that you can see. And then you get 3 on the back and 2 on the back of the Z Flip 3. So we'll do some tests, take some photos and videos, and we can see which ones look the best overall. I'm currently using the main camera on the Galaxy Z Fold 3 on the back, so you get an idea how good, bad, ugly, great this actually looks. Let me know in the comments down below. Here we go with the front camera on the smaller display on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. How do you think this looks and sounds versus the other ones? Let me know. I think it looks good so far, what I'm seeing. Here we go with the front camera on the big display of the Galaxy Z Fold 3. What do you guys think? How does this look and sound? We will now, whoa, I'm almost tripping. Woo, some pretty good lighting in here for the most part. This is the front camera on the Galaxy Z Flip 3. Shooting some video here so you get an idea what it looks like and sounds like. What do you guys think? Better than the Z Fold 3 or worse? All right, guys, here we go with the back camera of the Galaxy Z Flip 3, which is cool. What's cool about this one is I can close it, and when it's closed, I can still see myself because I have that little front display on the front of this phone that allows me to see it, but I can still use the back cameras. I can use that for selfies or video, so I really like that feature. It's really nice. In terms of their size, I mean, it's going to be a preference thing. If you have trouble holding something, again, put something on the back of these to make it easier to hold, some kind of ring holder, a pop socket or something like that. Now, just holding these, if you're not going to get something like that, it's obviously much easier to hold this phone. It's more of a traditional phone. When it's completely open, you can close it and put it in your pocket when you're done, and probably fit it maybe potentially into a small purse, a lot easier as well. And you know, this is more cutesy, definitely more cutesy. I think the overall design on this is actually cooler too. I like the two-tone on the back here. I like this purple versus the silver. The silver looks great. It will get some, you know, different colors in different lightings. You can see some pinks in there sometimes and purples and things like that. Both of them look great, but I think, you know, just looking these side by side at this point with this lighting, I would choose this one. And obviously holding this in your hand's a lot more comfortable. But don't get me wrong, holding this like this isn't that bad either. You know, when you're holding it in this orientation, it does have a little bit of thickness, but overall it's not too bad. The weight is more on the Z Fold 3 as well. And then when you open it up, that's where the magic happens, but it also could cause an issue where you're like, damn, this phone's way, way too big. But there's ways to get around that with certain grips on the back of the phone, or maybe you just have big hands and you're used to holding something like that. But this also, I think, makes it offer like a better experience with videos and social media and things like that and websites. Both of these phones have some very nice advanced features. If you see, they line up almost identically on here. You get Samsung DeX on here, so if you want on the Z Fold 3, and you don't on the Z Flip 3. So if you wanted to connect this to a monitor or a TV wirelessly or wired on the Z Fold 3, you can, and that gives you kind of like a desktop computer experience with Samsung DeX. But other than that, you get very, very similar experiences overall with both of these phones. One of the big features that the Z Fold 3 has that the Z Flip 3 does not have is the use of an S Pen. So if you love having like something like an S Pen, you can come on here and you can draw or write or take notes, make a grocery list, and you can maybe potentially make your life more interesting, you know, save some paper, add and edit documents or sign a document with your real signature. You could color. If you have kids, you can bring in a coloring book of some sort with pen up and color. You can doodle, you can draw, you can, like I said, take a screenshot of something and be like, oh no, you messed up, and like put some kind of drawing on here and be like, oh, it's right there, and change the colors. So there's a lot you can do with this in terms of the S Pen. So if you love S Pens, you're definitely going to want to get the Galaxy Z Fold 3. Also, like I said earlier, you do have this outside display, which is small, but it's fully functional and allows you to take advantage of the phone to do, you can't use the S Pen on it, but you can use the phone to its full potential pretty much on here, from running multiple windows. If you wanted to, you can do that on this smaller display, or just use the phone as you would any other phone. The Z Flip 3, like I showed you earlier, has this outside display, and you can check your notifications. You can, you know, get this little animated stuff and check the time. You can play pause video or music. You can check your schedule or the weather, or look at alarms that are coming up. So some stuff you can do in here. You can also use this when you're taking photos if you want. So you can control your photos and take videos and do all kinds of stuff. Very, very cool. So with everything said, it's really going to be a preference thing. I mean, both of these phones are pretty awesome with what they do. I will say, camera-wise, I think I prefer the Galaxy Z Flip 3 with videos and photos versus the Galaxy Z Fold 3. Multitasking, I would much rather, multi-window, I'd much rather do on the Z Fold 3 because it's a bigger display, you got more real estate. I also love that you have a fully functioning phone on the outside here that you can use to do whatever you want. I also like the fingerprint placement. It's a little bit lower on the phone versus it is on the Z Flip 3. The design of both of these is really nice, but if I had to choose just design overall, I'd probably choose the Z Flip 3. It's just, I like the two color tones. The displays, the speakers are better on the Z Fold 3 versus the Z Flip 3. The performance is relatively the same. Feature-wise, it's very, very close, very, very similar, different in other ways with, you know, you have the ability to use this outside display to do some stuff and capture and use the back cameras, but you can also do something similar to that on this phone as well. When you open up this phone, you can have the back display and you can just hit this button right here and that turns on that display, so you could still get a very similar setup to capturing videos and photos with this back camera. So for me, I would definitely choose the Z Fold 3. It's a different phone, you know, it's just completely different. This is phone to me that just literally closes, and I think this part is cool, and that's really the only difference versus a regular standard candy bar phone that this does. And you can obviously stand it up like that. That obviously adds another feature that you couldn't do. So you could capture some kind of photo, you can hold it up like that, you can have it like this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like completely like a candy bar phone, but you know, when you're using it, you're generally going to use it like this most likely, and to me that's just a candy bar phone. So this isn't a huge deal to me. I don't see a problem that this fixes. This fixes a problem because you have a phone and then you open it up and you have a tablet for the most part, a small tablet. So it's very, very cool. Both of them are cool devices. I don't think you go wrong either one that you choose. It's really going to be a preference thing. But again, Z Fold 3 for me. What do you guys think the better phone is? Put it in the comments down below and why, and we'll see you down the road.